Welcome to lucky number week 13 of the high school football season. This, of course, is the Tim and Chuck Show. I'm Tim, and that's Chuck. And this is our show.
As always, yeah.
Let's talk some football this week, Chuck. We're down to 2 teams playing in the regional finals. We've got Wayne Trace and Ada in Division 6. We've got Bryan Kenton in Division 4. Why don't we start in the GMC? Let's start with Wayne Trace going against Ada, coached by former Fairview mentor Bob Olin. What do you think about that matchup?
Just like an old-time GMC, a match up there with Coach Olin taking on Coach Speller. I'm sure those guys are familiar with each other. Maybe going over some old game plans with, when they played each other when they were both in the GMC together. It's going to be a really good game.
Yeah. A couple of teams, spread offenses. Yeah. Probably going to be a shootout type of game. That's the type of games those two teams played when Bob was at Fairview. I don't see anything less, and I think Ada is really on a roll. I mean, they got blasted by Crescent-News during the season, and they came back and shut them out last week. They reached the regional finals. They're playing very well.
Yeah, they are. They got the Wilcox kid, like you said. They throw the ball around a lot, and I think he's their leading ground gainer with 700 some yards too. So, and that really makes it tough on a defense when you've got a quarterback that's not afraid to pull it down and run the football. So that's so this week's game is really going to be big for Wayne Trace and for Coach Olin too. It's sort of big benchmark games for programs that are taking steps that they haven't taken before.
Well, talking back to Wayne Trace, they beat a Tenor team that had beaten them during the regular season, and they did it rather handily. So they have to come in with a lot of confidence.
Exactly. And it goes back again. They learned from their mistakes basically in that first game. The Spees kid didn't run a whole lot in the first game against Tenora. Last Friday night, they changed it up a little bit. They lined up with some 2-back formations, some quarterback 1-back formations, and ran the football. And Spees, man, he was a man back there. When he decided to run the football, he was running through arm tackles, running guys over, and that really made a big difference for the defense that they were facing, because the defense wasn't sure if they were going to run, pass, and man, his receivers, they are good.
Yeah. Well, it seems like when we've talked about these types of matchups, Chucks, the offense gets all the headlines, but someone's defense has got to make a stop if they're going to win this game. If you could maybe speak to that again, because it's someone's going to have to step up and make a play.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have to, and you got to mix it up a little bit on defense too. I talked to a few people this week, and I said, sometimes you can't play the same thing all the time. It's just like offense, you can't run the same play all the time. So defensively, what helps is when you have athletes, and Wayne Trace really has a lot of good athletes in their defensive backfield, that maybe they can go from a zone to a man and man up 3 or 4 guys and say, if somebody's going to beat us, we're going to make this guy who's your 5th best receiver beat us. And that's, I think, what Wayne Trace has going for him. Plus, they've got that dominating defensive front line that, if you do going to run, you're going to have to try to run Chucky over, and that's hard to do.
Yeah. Winner gets to the Final Four.
That's right.
Yeah. And Let's switch on over to Division 4 here. We're talking about Bryan. Okay, they started out the playoffs. They played number 3 Genoa, unbeaten. Week 2, number 4 ranked Caledonia River Valley, unbeaten. Oh, Bryan, by the way, is ranked number 2 and unbeaten. And now they have unbeaten and number 1 ranked Kenton, the Western Buckeye League champion. Bryan's the only team in the state of Ohio that will have played 3 unbeaten teams in their first 3 games of the playoffs. I mean, talk about a meat grinder. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And if you're Bryan, nobody can say you haven't earned it. You know what I'm saying? Nobody can say, oh, you got the lucky draw. No, there's no lucky draw for Bryan. Every team that they have beaten has been really good, a really solid team, and that just speaks to the athletes and the coaches that they have up in Bryan, the job they've been able to do.
Now, I saw Bryan scrimmage Defiance all the way back the first scrimmage of the year, and I saw Kenton in Week 10 against Defiance, and I was impressed by both teams. Those are a couple of scary teams that can just put points on the board. I mean, you blink and it's 35-0. It's crazy what those teams can do offensively.
Exactly. Slow night at the concession stand this week because nobody's leaving, because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, a blink of an eye, like you said, that somebody can be scored. So concession stand, there's probably going to be leftover popcorn. Guys are taking stuff home to their kids. But yeah, it's going to be a great game. And again, somebody's going to have to make a play on defense sooner or later. You got to make one play.
I think the one thing that gets overlooked for Kenton anyway is their defense. They've got 2 guys that stand out. Noah Furbush is a Michigan recruit. He's been unbelievable. And then they've got a kid by the name of Tristan Reichelderfer
That's easy for you to
exactly.
say.
148 tackles. He moved in from Upper Sandusky. He's getting looks from Ohio State. Those two guys just kind of changed the way that teams have to attack Kenton because they are big and they are fast.
Wow, when you're dealing with that many tackles, that means you are flying around to the football. You're a sideline to sideline player because that is not an easy feat to average 10 some tackles a game. So again, defense. When you go in, especially when you're playing teams that can score a lot, can we make them punt 2 times, 3 times? If you can, you got a good chance of winning.
Well, their quarterback has thrown 58 touchdowns, Grant Sherman. Justin Sawmiller, 123 catches, 1,959 yards, and 20 touchdowns. He's the leading receiver all-time in the country. In the country. Anywhere in the United States, he's got the most receptions by any receiver in high school history. I mean, that right there is firepower. But getting back to Brian, we know what Austin Schimmuller can do, and when it's a big moment, he makes big plays. He's got 33 touchdowns, and you were talking about running. He has 792 yards and 16 more TDs.
Yeah, and he's just one of those great athletes that he's got everything. He's got the arm, he's got good speed, he's got good size. He's just a great high school athlete.
Yeah, Jake Jones, 133 tackles for Brian. It's going to be fun.
Yep, make a play, win a big trophy.
Yeah. Again, Final Four on the line.
Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be back for week 14.
Hope so.
Yeah.
There can be only one in the end.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. As always, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. You know where we are. Tweet us. We'll talk about you on here.
Yeah.
Be a little bit of fun. And hopefully we'll see you next week.